All right, team. Drew Lock Week 16 breakdown, and a little bit different. So we've got good. I think we've got a ton of good / bad. A ton of it. And then we got another good. There's actually only 2 goods and a bunch of good / bad, and I'll show you why. There's actually no true bads. It's kind of funky too. But it was just kind of a weird game. There weren't a lot of plays, and there weren't like a lot of situations where it was kind of like, hey, egregious. It was just kind of like, meh, But I think there's a lot to learn from. So as always, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. But I know a lot of you guys have been saying, Tim, I'm not on Twitter. I hate Twitter. So I did a bunch of Twitter videos today too. I'm going to put those at the end of the video. So after you watch the video, then I come back on, do my little spiel at the end, which everybody hates, but I kind of like doing it. Then after that, when I say, okay, peace, boom, more videos will be there. So if you follow me on Twitter and you already saw them, you just stop watching. But if not, you get to watch those too. So it's kind of like bonus. But always, as always, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at tjenkinselite, or you can just hang out and do it at the end if I deserve it, but we're in the film. So we are starting this thing out with a good, and we're starting out with kind of one of the better play designs, in my opinion, a little Flutie stutter. Flutie is that post-sale combo. So I'm going to draw it over here, but Flutie would be just a post with a sale from number 2, okay? That's what the Flutie concept is, okay? Guys, I know there's not a receiver over there. I'm just trying to show you. Hey, this is what Flutie looks like. So Flutie stutter is the fake the sale right here, but then we're going to get vertical. That's the stutter part, and Drew does a really good job of holding the stutter up before the drop-off corner. So this corner runs with it, okay, but then he's going to end up dropping off. Well, Drew does a great job of back shouldering this thing and holding it up, boom, before the drop-off corner, then there's a 20-yard gain. So that's a heck of a good, right? Like the play design, too, got to be honest. Boom, dime, okay? So that's good. So now we've got good, bad. Okay, the good, bad, the reason it's a good, bad is because this to me is just straight up Flutie. Okay, it's like a variation. You would call it Flutie Z Heaven, but it's Flutie. Really, I think you'd kind of call it Flutie F Heaven, but whatever. So Flutie is, again, remember we got the post with the corner. Now they're just doing a little speed out, or they're doing more of a sail with an ultra high, right? So they're setting them to the same spot. Normally you'd see it a little bit reversed, where it's more like this, so it's more Flutie switch. But I think there's so listen, the reason it's good bad is because this is a quality climb up in the pocket and delivering a strike. The reason I have it as good bad, though, is I think there's an argument to hit Sutton, boom, on this ultra high, man. I think there's an argument for this is where this ball needs to go. Now, granted, the ball's already out of his hand, so it's like, okay, ball's already out of his hand, guys are reacting, but to me, the reason it's a good bad is because I think there's an argument for the ultra high. Now, again, it's 3rd and 20, and he's thinking, man, if I hit Jerry Jeudy right here, we're getting into field goal range, and we're going to get 3, and they end up doing that. So, it's a tough one. So, again, now we got good, bad again. So, they got the Flutie with the mesh. So, we got the post outside, sail from the slot, and then they've got mesh here, okay? The reason I say this is good, bad is because I think we need to be on time to Jerry Jeudy right now. What I mean by that is I want you guys to watch Jerry Jeudy and watch his route, okay? Boom. So we got Jeudy working up. He is open now. Pocket's clean, okay? You can see where his break is coming. He is wide open right now. Pocket's clean. Drew, however, extends the play and then delivers a ball that probably should have been caught. So, again, another good bad where it's like, listen, I think we need to play on time to that sail route. But if we're not going to play on time to the sail route, and we're going to step up and we're going to evade in the pocket and create and then deliver a dime on the sideline that needs to be caught, goes in as a good bad. Okay? This one is such a nuanced one, and this one I just think is so good for all of us to look at. So what we've got is we got mesh X Blaze 8. Okay, so what they're going to do here is they're going to have the X outside on this Blaze 8 route. They've run this a ton. Okay? But they've got mesh. Mesh, remember, is 2 collect shallows, okay? I don't like how I drew that, but I drew it like that. Remember that we stay on the run against man-to-man, and we settle against zone. The number one thing you can't do as a receiver, and I messed this up on air when I was talking with Ryan and Ben, I said, listen, I think that there was a I don't think there was a lack of an indicator, but there was a lack of an indicator, so it's on me. But I want you guys to watch Noah Fant. Noah Fant. So first watch Cortland Sutton. Boom, sticks his foot in the ground and settles on zone, right? Okay, that's a zone settle. Fant is getting kind of a dirty read. What I mean by that is there's green grass here, which is a receiver you like to run against green grass. However, it's zone, so you're supposed to sit down. And he kind of gives his quarterback not a clear indicator, meaning like he's a messy read. So if you guys watch Noah Fant this whole time. So you watch how he's running, and then it's like he slows down, so Drew's expecting him to sit like it's zone, but then he's also on the move at the same time, so the ball ends up behind him. So I'm going to give it to you guys in fast motion. He just gives him a messy read. That's the number one thing you can't do as a receiver. Even if you make the wrong read, meaning, hey, I stayed on the run against man, I stayed on the run against zone, or I sat against man. It doesn't matter as long as it's not messy. That's just messy. And that's why you can see Drew throw his arms up. He's like pissed, right? So to me, it's like, okay, good, bad. Well, Tim, why is it still good, bad? Because he was wide open, and if we just body him front shoulder, even though you're expecting him to sit down, if you just throw it front to center, sorry, I'm like leaning out of the picture up here, but if you throw him front to center, it's going to be a catch, and we're probably going to get the first down. So that's another good, bad. Here we go, another good, bad. Why is it a good, bad? Well, because you read this thing outside in, 1, 2, and then up to the spear, and Jerry Jeudy's wide open, right? 4th and 2, boom. Bang, Jerry Jeudy. But Drew works his whole progression. 2's not there, and then he works backside, finds Cortland Sutton on the spear route for a huge 4th down conversion. So it's like, hey, good, bad, in that we missed Jerry Jeudy, in my opinion, who's our first progression. But you end up getting an even better one in Cortland, right? So it's like, hey, man, good, bad, because it's 4th down, and we end up converting this thing, okay? We got another good, bad here, which is we got righty spear, okay? So what you get here is you get the corner route with the back as the little Omaha, okay? You're going to read this thing 1 to 2. This is so well covered, right? But Drew back shoulders this and actually gives Albert O a great chance to make a big time play, and we drop it. So it's good, bad, in that it's one of those where it's like, hey, you're throwing to a covered guy, so that's bad, right? Or you're throwing to somewhere where it's like, hey, our progression doesn't really lead us there, especially when it's covered like this. But when you make this good of a throw, right? Like that good of a throw against that kind of coverage, it's good, right? So it's a good, bad. We've had so many good, bads. Kind of fun because I think it's like nuances of football that we're kind of teaching today. And then here's the last one. This one just a straight up good, man. Guy gets out of the pocket, delivers on scramble. I thought Drew did a great job with his scramble stuff, man. He was getting out of the pocket, creating. This is a good job by the receivers to react, get to the sideline. But, man, we just got bullied up front and delivers a dime. So, all in all, 2 goods, a lot of good, bad. Overall, I thought Drew actually played a really darn good game. I think you guys will see in these clips after some of the bad and why I don't really blame the receivers that much on some of the bad, because it's like I just don't think Coach Shermer's doing a good job of scheming them up. So, guys, please comment. Let me know what you thought of Drew Lock's start, and then stick around if you want to see the Twitter videos. All right, peace. All right, team. Unfortunately, it's never been more clear that Coach Shermer has to go. Another great play design, but we just don't coach it up well to then execute it. We jump into the film. So they've got a really good design here, in my opinion, which is they're going to try to get the Raiders into quarters, and then they're going to try to bait this safety. So watch, we get the motion. Boom. The Raiders were trying to get them into quarters. What they want to do here is they want to get this curl, and they want to get this safety to jump the curl, and then they're going to try to sneak Albert O behind it, okay? Unfortunately, they coach this as a straight vertical release, which is going to not threaten this guy at all. It's just going to threaten the corner. This needs to be a push or a lean or a seam release, whatever you want to call it, then vertical to try to grab this safety's attention. And then I'd love to see this on more of a hard in cut. Then Albert O, he goes ahead and he dips underneath, and his angle is terrible. That's why you see Drew doing this after he sails this thing into oblivion, which, again, it's just a bad ball. He needs to get this thing more vertical to then he can sneak across the formation. He can't be going in right away. And you're going to see how that bad release there gets his angle more towards the safety, and then the fact that we're just vertical doesn't threaten this guy at all, which then gets to where he turns and runs against what they're trying to sneak behind in a shot play. And the reason you know this is exactly what they dialed up is because watch Drew's eyes. Drew is going directly to that backside receiver to try to get the safety to bait. He's using his head and eyes to try to get the safety to drive on that in cut, and then he's going to throw because he's like, man, we got it. Instead, we had another terrible release. So to me, it's like, hey, we've got a great thing drawn up on the whiteboard, but there's a disconnect when the whiteboard then comes to actually teaching and coaching up these routes correctly, and that's why, unfortunately, he's just got to go at this point. Why do the Broncos keep throwing short of the sticks? Well, one thing is, and honestly, again, I hate doing this, but it's on Shurmur, right? We're on week 16, and we still fail to articulate to our guys that we have to be +2 on the sticks in 3rd and critical. Let's jump in and find 2 clips right here. What they've got is Opal. Opal's just an option route. You're going to see Jerry Jeudy right here. Here's the concept, but I'm going to get through it. We have Jerry Jeudy right here. He's going to get in the vapor trails and then sit down. It's a beautiful concept again. But guess what? We get in the vapor trails and we sit down 2 yards short of the stick. So instead of being +2, which is what we need to be 2 yards past the sticks, we're -2. So guess what? We throw on time, we complete the ball, we get tackled short. Okay? Whose fault is that? Is it Jerry? Right? Or are we not articulating and coaching this thing correctly? To me, it could be a little bit everyone, but when it happens over and over, at some point it's got to fall on the coaches. So there's one clip. Now we're going to follow it up with another great design play, but guess what? We don't coach it well. Okay? If they stay in cover 2, we've got this, which would just be a little double spot corner. Okay? You read this thing 1 to 2 to 3. But guess what? They're going to go ahead and roll coverage, play single high, which means we're going to work this backside one-on-one with Courtland Sutton, who's one of the best guys in the NFL. But again, Courtland Sutton starts his break where? He starts his break -2 of the sticks. Okay? Ball's thrown on time. He catches it -1 of the sticks. Okay? Tries to make a move. Gets tackled. Now it's 4th and 3. So to me, it's like, how many times are we going to see this over and over where the fans say, oh, why are the quarterbacks throwing it short of the sticks? Well, are they really throwing it short of the sticks? Or are we not coaching it good enough to get +2? And, like, listen, if it happens with multiple receivers, it's a coaching thing, right? One receiver doing it over and over, sure, the receivers aren't getting it. But when we have it show up consistently with second-year guys who I think are great players or veterans who have been in this league forever, at some point, it's just coaching. We've got to articulate it better. And, again, I hate saying it, but it's another reason Shurmur's got to go. The Broncos have the personnel to be one of the best run-and-play action teams in the NFL, but unfortunately, they just refuse to use their guys correctly, and we've got 3 clips that really illustrate it perfectly. So we're going to jump into it. Right here, we've got a variation of Samurai, which you guys know is my favorite play, but we got Tim Patrick clearing on the ultra high, and then Courtland Sutton come behind it. Courtland Sutton, unfortunately, is not a great deep over runner, okay? He just takes his time getting across. Sorry, I'm going to rewind that, which then gives this guy a chance to go ahead and rob underneath. What you really want to see is this route already clearing into this space because we've got these guys going vertical, which then forces us to go ahead and try to throw over the guy robbing it, and unfortunately, we just don't make a play on the sideline. Next clip we've got, we decide, hey, last time we used Tim Patrick to clear, which was successful, but let's go ahead and get one worse and try to use a tight end to go ahead and clear vertically. So now we've got the tight end on the ultra high, and we got Courtland Sutton running the deep over, which again, no offense to these guys, this just is not their strength. So now again, we've got a situation where we're already under pressure, and because we use a tight end, these guys are 3 yards apart from each other. Awesome design. And this corner is going to fall off and then rob the deep over. But don't worry, we're going to take the sack anyway. So we've had Courtland Sutton run 2 deep overs. Okay, and it's nothing against Courtland, but he's run 2 of them. And guess what? We've got an incompletion on the sideline. We've got a sack. And the sack really has more to do with the Noah Fant on the vertical. But don't worry, guys, because we're going to give you a taste of what we should have been doing this whole time. We're going to give you a small sample of, if I was a coherent offensive coordinator, what would I do? Well, I'd use Tim Patrick on the ultra high because he's one of the best vertical threats they have right now. And then we'll use Jerry Jeudy on the deep over. And what happens, guys? What happens when you use this? You use your receivers correctly. Gee, I don't know, a 40-yard gain. Why? Because you had a guy who could clear the linebacker level with urgency and not get robbed underneath. And then you had another guy outside who's a better vertical presence. So to me, The Denver Broncos, the reason it's such a letdown when you watch their run and play action game has nothing to do with the schematics. Schematics are good. Samurai, you love Samurai. Dover, all that good stuff, we love it. But guess what? You're not using your receivers correctly. So we've basically given you a Ferrari, and you're driving it like a Pontiac, and it's a shame.